New question. The member from Toronto Danforth.
We're a very eager and energetic group here, Speaker, as you're well aware. Speaker, to the Premier. Yesterday, I was listening to the Minister of Energy respond to questions about Hydro One's 2 rate increase applications. The Minister praised Hydro One for finding savings, but Hydro One is not passing any savings on to ratepayers by decreasing rates. Instead, Hydro One wants a 20% distribution rate increase. The minister said Hydro One is doing a great job as a company, gouging. Even though Hydro One is currently taking the Ontario Energy Board to court in order to keep 100% of a $2.6 billion tax break that rightly belongs to ratepayers. Why does the minister think his job is to praise Hydro One and not to defend the interests of ratepayers?
Good. Thank you, Premier.
Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We were very pleased to bring forward the Fair Hydro Plan, which actually defended ratepayers by reducing their bills by 25%, and that member and that party voted against it, Mr. Speaker. So it's this party, Mr. Speaker, that is actually defending ratepayers. It's this party that's actually working with companies, Mr. Speaker, working with companies to make sure that we can continue to find ways to reduce bills for ratepayers, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to Hydro One, they've seen their bills in R2 and R1 designations, Mr. Speaker, drop by 40 to 50%. And it had nothing to do with that party, Mr. Speaker. It had nothing to do with that member. It had to do with, Mr. Speaker, the company, the government, and ratepayers all working together to come up with solutions, Mr. Speaker. That's what we have done on this side. On that side, Mr. Speaker, they've done nothing. They have a plan that is pie in the sky, that didn't even talk about helping low-income individuals, Mr. Speaker, and that is something that we have done with all organizations to help all ratepayers in this
Thank you. Supplementary.
Thank you, Speaker. Again to the Premier. The Minister of Energy cheered when Hydro One applied to buy Avista, even though this $6.7 billion purchase will do nothing to improve service for Ontario ratepayers. This purchase will divert resources away from improving the reliability of the grid towards the cost of building an empire for Hydro One. The Ontario Energy Board said Hydro One was making poor use of its existing funds for capital improvements and told it to reduce its revenue requirements. Hydro One basically refused. The privatized Hydro One is putting private profits ahead of the public interest. Will the minister stop cheerleading for Hydro One and start protecting the interests of Ontario families and ratepayers?
Again, Mr. Speaker, it's this party that actually protected ratepayers by bringing forward the Fair Hydro Plan. It's that party that voted against ratepayers by making sure that they didn't support the plan, Mr. Speaker. When it comes to Hydro One, the acquisition of Avista benefits customers, employees, shareholders and ratepayers, Mr. Speaker, and it's important to say rates will not be impacted. It won't even affect local jobs either, Mr. Speaker. Similar acquisitions are increasingly common, Mr. Speaker. Fortis purchased Michigan-based ITC, and EPCOR purchased 2 U.S. water utilities. When it comes to making sure, Mr. Speaker, that the government is on side of the ratepayers, it's this Premier, Mr. Speaker, it's this government that will continue to work with our stakeholders, will continue to work with the OEB, will continue to work with the ISO to have a clean, reliable and affordable system, unlike the opposition parties that have no plan to do that, Mr.